Here is a reading from Logion 7 of the Gospel of Thomas. Yeshua says, "A lion eaten by a man is blessed as it changes to human form. But a human devoured by a lion is cursed as lion becomes human." And I picked this verse because of my family. I have members of my family who say, well, it's all one, you know, you just kind of lean into the oneness of things and everything works out. And I would like to spend time with them on this text, but they are like the Labrador that comes in from the pool or the lake and runs into the living room and shakes himself off. And that seems like what happens as I try and I'll spend a little time with my family to talk about some of these things, and they run in and shake themselves off and making a giant mess of things and then run out the door to play again. So I wanted to spend a little more time than probably mostly for my own satisfaction on this text, because it reveals something so very powerful about the world that we live and the idea of oneness. And the idea of oneness is kind of true, except that there are two things. There are angels and beasts. And this text tells us that the power of transformation is essential. And the one thing that you are going to end up with is of vital importance. So do you want the one thing that is reality to be the beast? Or do you want the one thing to be angels connected to the divine hierarchy? And we must choose. We must choose which of those one things that we want. And so it is also very much a preceding text to understanding the Last Supper, because there is a magical, to use a word that's uncomfortable for some, but I'm very comfortable with it. There's a magical alchemical transformation in the consuming of bodies and blood. And this text is a precursor to that understanding. It is, if you are devoured by the lion, you are devoured by the beast and you become the beast. And that means, in my mind, you are mortal. You are a mortal being. However, if you devour the lion and you transform the lion into a human understanding, that human understanding then is an angel understanding, and you then become part of the divine hierarchy. And you are not mortal. You are eternal. That's the distinction I wanted to draw. The distinction of immortality and the distinction between immortality and death. Maybe you could say it as an eternal death. But this ability to transform, alchemically transform something by a psychic kind of digestive system, is a really important thing, because as I go outside and I stand on my porch and I look outside and I see beasts roaming, looking for prey, I have to say to myself, do I want to be eaten? Do I want to become what they want? They don't want me as an angelic being. They do not want me. But if I shift my allegiances, shift my concentrations, shift my meditations and the work that I do, then I am a target. I am prey for them, the beasts. So it is important at this moment to realize that I don't want to be part of that herd of prey that the lion seeks to separate out and to devour. And that's what happens. That is the hunting lions. And that collective imagery is very important as we look at the totalitarians of this world. They are in a collective hunting mode. So there is a totalitarian science, a totalitarian bureaucracy, and a totalitarian ideology. And they are banded together, they are chained together in a energetic way that they then cooperate to find those who are unsure of their own connection to the divine hierarchy. They are unsure of how to conduct themselves and how to be oriented to the divine. They look very hard to find those who are not connected so that they can devour them. And the creatures who are devoured then become part of that chain, that connection. So it's a devotion that I'm discussing here as much as a teaching. You know, I'm not a gifted teacher, but in the context of my ability to create a devotional understanding of things, a contemplative understanding of things, I feel like that's where I can go. I don't have the kind of mind that allows me to develop complex teachings, but I can come up with understandings that I want to pass on to you, that you can use in your devotions, and you can begin to understand how to respond to these challenges in the context of your devotions, your daily practices. And that is part of how I run my day as a daily practice of being aware of the world that I'm in and being properly oriented to the light. As a child of light, I can then see. I can see where the lions roam. I can see them hunting. And I can see how it is that I will not be prey because I have developed in myself a clarity brought about by an understanding of beauty and an understanding of the wilderness. So I ask you to consider that and to develop in your own practice these kinds of understandings that will allow you to see the nature of the world that we are in. And that's the thing about my family, is they cannot see the nature of the world that we are in. They have a perception that is, I think, not keenly developed. It's not keenly developed because they don't want to go into the wilderness. They don't want to take the time to go out there and find what it is that they have to learn. I've gone out there in my own way, and I've learned something. I've learned about my own vulnerabilities, and I've learned about the fact that there are a lot of creatures out there that I should be very aware of. And there are a lot of pits that I don't want to fall into. And that even if I do fall into a pit, and I can fall into that pit of shadow very easily, I also understand that I can step out of the pit and I can leave shadow behind.